Thank you for staying with us on World Now. Let's turn our attention to the Middle East. Egypt, Qatar, and the United States have released a joint statement calling on Israel and Hamas to resume negotiations for a ceasefire and hostage release deal. The statement mentioned that the three nations had forged a framework agreement and only the details of implementation is yet to be concluded. Israel has agreed to send negotiators to the proposed talks, likely to hold on the 15th of August, but Hamas is yet to respond. This latest development follows the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, which experts project will hinder the ceasefire talks. Official figures show that more than 39,000 persons have been killed and about 91,000 wounded in Israel's war on Gaza since the 7th of October. To discuss the renewed call for Israel and Hamas to resume talks, global affairs analyst Dr. Jide Ojo joins me from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. Good to have you join us, Dr. Ojo.
It's my pleasure, Abasede. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How's Lagos?
So a new ceasefire and hostage release deal is in the works. How optimistic are you about this plan?
I'm quite optimistic, and now there is pressure on the warring factions, both the Hamas and the Israeli, to resume negotiations and conclude ceasefire agreement as well as release of hostages. Why I'm optimistic, although cautiously optimistic, is the fact that Israel on its own has agreed to send a negotiator, and we are yet to hear from Hamas. Perhaps Hamas is doubting the integrity of this, given the murder of Ismail Haniyeh last week. But Yahya Sinwar is also not new to the whole process, even though Israeli forces believe Yahya Sinwar is one of the ROS who planned the October 7 attack on the Israeli land. But the reason for my optimism is because this is a three-nation agreement. Egypt is involved, Qatar is involved, and Almighty America is involved. The three of them, including the American president, have signed on to mediate this process. And I think if Benjamin Netanyahu does not want to overreach himself, he will not snub this effort. However, again, I'm so glad that the negotiators are talking about a win-win solution to this whole thing. So it's not just Israeli that stands to profit or the Hamas, but the way the whole thing is structured is such that both warring factions are going to have something to benefit themselves. Because
all right, Dr.
as
Joe.
you read out the statistics, 39,000 deaths since October 7th, over 90,000 people injured, billions displaced. We cannot continue to have that kind of scenario and the world will move on as if nothing is happening.
Indeed, Dr. Joe.
Dr.
Joe. Yes, I know we can go on and on, about this because it's a really serious issue. But I just wanted to, bring up another issue, which is what you referred to earlier about the killing of Ismail Haniyeh. Many have actually projected that incident alone could hinder this ceasefire talks. And considering also at the moment that Hamas is yet to respond to this call for both warring factions to come back to the negotiation table. So how do you think this can be handled?
I think there is still a back channel communication that will be going on right now to mount pressure on the Hamas, particularly the new leadership led by Yahya Sinwar, to give peace a chance, because while Israel has pledged retaliation for the death of Ismail Haniyeh,
You mean Iran?
and Israel has, while Iran, rather, thank you for the correction, Ambassador, while Iran has promised to retaliate his death, this is part of war situation. In a war situation, there are always collateral damage. It's a very regrettable decision. I also empathize with the good people of, Gaza on the death of Ismail. But, this is why war is never profiting anyone. And I wish we can bring this to closure by allowing for the ceasefire in the first instance, as well as the release of hostages. Because even war cannot continue forever. It gets to a point that you just get tired and you just want a closure to the whole thing. And I think, given the fact that this is not just an initiative of U.S. government or Egyptian government or Qatari government, this is a combined effort meant to de-escalate tension. So the whole issue is also about the escalation of tension arising from the death of Ismail Haniyeh last week. So
Right.
I just hope that Hamas will think it through and allow for this August 15 negotiation to take place. Because whether we like it or not, while the two, Benjamin Netanyahu has said that there will be no closure until the defeat of Hamas, Hamas has equally promised that it will never recognize Israel, it will do everything. So if everybody goes for the broke, there will never be peace.
That is the big concern.
It's important for the global community to continue to pressure the warring faction to allow for peace, to allow for negotiation that will lead to some kind of peace.
All right. And you know that there's a new man now at the helm of affairs talking about Hamas, and that's Yahya Sinwar. So, yes, there are speculations really that this new man might just also want to make his mark. Many have looked at his antecedent. They've spoken about the fact that, he's a man of, you say few words, but more action. And with the talks of retaliation flying around and Israel not even reacting just yet to the deaths, of Ismail Haniyeh, whether or not they carried out the attack and all of that, there are concerns about if this man really would be willing to bring Hamas to the negotiation table and free Gazans, of all they've been through in the past 11 months.
But Ambassador, you need to understand that both parties are guilty in all of this. Just 3 days, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, Israel continues to carry out attacks on Gaza. 18 people were reportedly murdered. And definitely you cannot have an enemy breathing down on your neck and you think that there is room for negotiation. But in a war situation, like I said earlier on, it can't last forever. Even if Yahya Sinwar ignores this August 15 negotiation, in time, in the nearest future, he will see the futility of continuing to mount campaign against Israel, because as U.S. has continually said, U.S. will never abandon Israel, and there will be Western world continuing to support Israel. But it's just to de-escalate tension that all of these initiatives are being made. And I appreciate the effort of Abdel al-Sisi, the Egyptian president and the Qatari Emir of Qatar, in trying to facilitate this whole process to de-escalate tension, to bring some form of relief, and to halt the humanitarian crisis that is currently going on in the Gaza region, in the Gaza Strip. So I know it's a painful thing, more so coming on the heels of the death of Ismail Haniyeh. But as I said, in a war situation, you never know who is going to be a casualty.
All right.
We have seen journalists even being killed in this whole crisis, and journalists are supposed to be protected. So, there will continue to be this collateral damage in as far as the war continues to rage. So it's better to rein in, get some ceasefire agreement in place, exchange of hostages, and let's see whether the world can actually bring a halt to this escalating crisis in the Middle East region.
All right, then. Global Affairs Analyst, Dr. Jide Ojo, thank you so much for talking to us on World Now.
My pleasure, Abosede. Do have a wonderful weekend. Keep safe.
You too.